I would enjoy debating with you. You have a keen mind.
Welcome to Debate 9, Cultural Contamination, where we have 9 Star Trek-themed debates, unless there's a tie, but we've got that taken care of. 30-second arguments followed by 30-second free-for-all, and there are no prior knowledge of your debate that your debaters have of the questions, and the debaters are also the judges. And tonight's keen minds are my cousin, your cousin, everyone's cousin, Dave Mader.
Mm-hmm.
Two-time debater on this show.
Yes, ready to mix it up.
Yep. And also Adam Woodward, another two-time debater.
It's only been 2 times. Wow, I thought it was more.
That's if you're thinking of the Class L Probes, the show you co-founded.
Thank you.
Yeah. And also we have a new competitor here on the debate stage, Trekkie Brie from Trek Culture.
Hello. Happy to be here.
Welcome.
Welcome.
All right. So I'm going to get out of here because I'm not one of the debaters tonight, but I have a timer. You guys should be able to hear it. So let's just test that right now. You guys hear this?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Is it too loud and distracting?
No.
Okay, perfect. So that's your timer. There'll be a little alarm at the end. You know your 30 seconds is up. But, if you have to finish your point, finish your point. We're not too strict around here. And, yeah, all right. Let's do it then. I'm going to get out of here. Good luck, everybody. Adam, you're up first. And then
okay.
Dave. And then Dave, and then Brie.
Okay. All right. Well, we're just
Okay. So am I reading this? Or I guess I am. Be it resolved, the roles of Dr. McCoy and Dr. Crusher represent strength, determination, and expertise, but depend on perpetrating the role of the subservient nurse that do the real patient care.
Wow, that's a deep one.
So, I was talking to my wife about this today, and we were discussing how in the original series, McCoy, he would refer to Nurse Chapel as nurse, or whoever the other nurse was in the room at the same time. Now, that was partially the time. However, being progressive, you think they'd expect a little more out of that. But jumping forward to next gen, when you have Dr. Crusher coming along, and again, not celebrating or not really recognizing the role of the nurse of, say, Nurse Ogawa, who was always just doing things for them. And I found it, having gone through parents in the healthcare system very much recently, the nurses are the ones who do the real work. But I also will say, is in Strange New Worlds, Nurse Chapel again is a strong, independent, working, a real partner with the doctor. And I find that very refreshing, especially after the 2 series I just referenced. But, to see a progressive show not recognizing a primarily female role, whether it be true or not, is a little disappointing. And I would expect more.
Okay. So who's arguing which side of this?
Well, it's just open for
whoever wants to grab it.
Yep.
No, that's not how it works on this show. Come on, Adam, pick one.
Well, I took my role. I believe this.
So, but
you're not the debater.
You're the
I was
judge.
wondering why you're talking so much. You're the judge.
Oh, well, there you go.
So,
thank you.
I was wondering why you were talking so much.
Thank you, Davan, for reminding me how this show worked.
So, all right, Adam, you're no longer in charge. Dave, you're in charge.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, then I will argue against. So I guess Brie will argue for.
All
Oh
right.
my God.
Okay.
I can go first if
Don't
you
make me come back in there.
Yeah, you can go first.
Okay.
No. 4 always goes first. Oh my God. Don't make me come
4
back
goes
in there.
first.
All right.
Well, maybe you need to re-explain the rules, David, before we go into these things.
I put Adam in charge. All right.
Well, see what
Adam,
happens.
You're
I
the
told you
judge of
last
this.
night I didn't understand the rules of engagement. So
All right. Brie, if you're 4, then you go first. 30 seconds
right.
starts now.
I would have to agree with you. You're right. The only experience that I have watching Star Trek of the roles between Dr. McCoy and Crusher, the only experience that we have that goes outside of that when talking about Nurse Chapel is in Strange New Worlds. So, I mean, everything that we need, all the examples that we see in what's named, yes, it's perpetuating a subservient role to the doctors.
okay, Dave, over to you.
Well, they do serve as the doctors. Like that's the role of the nurses. They are the support staff of the medical leads, which are the doctors. That is true in every healthcare system. I completely agree that nurses are the backbone and the front line of all healthcare. But that I don't think that's unconventional by any means. And I think that they both serve their roles, important roles in that system. Am I out of time? Okay.
Time.
That second little sound is the 10-second warning.
All right.
Okay, and now David, I'm taking a side.
No, free for all.
Oh, okay. Free for all between these two, right? Dave and Brie.
Yeah, you're the
All right.
judge.
I'm the judge. Go, guys.
Well, I just stand by my statements that I don't think that that's the subservient thing is a little bit mischaracterized. I think that like it's like asking why is the technician subservient to the chief engineer?
I'd say at least with McCoy and Dr. Nurse Chapel, he only ever says nurse. It's very rare he ever even calls her by her name.
True, but I don't think that that's necessarily a derogatory addressment. She calls him doctor, and that's okay.
I agree. It's just that every time that it is spoken towards her, it's usually in a nurse, I need this, or nurse, why are you doing that? Especially in those episodes where Nurse Chapel is portrayed as a little more ditzy when she's literally a medical professional. She shouldn't really be portrayed it as such or so.
Well, yeah.
Done. Adam.
I'm going with Brie on this one. I think the role. I mean, the fact that you just called it out there. She has a name, and as a leader, whether you're a captain or whatever, should be using the names. And if you notice on the other side of it, when they do address like lieutenant, it's because they're doing something wrong. It's a negative.
All right. Well, unlike Adam did, don't try to lead the witnesses here at the beginning of the question.
Sorry about that one.
All right. Well,
now we know the rules, guys. We got an 8 to go, so
we just had to go through the growing pains.
I talked you up as a
practice run.
You're a former champion, Adam. Come on. Now.
Yeah, but you think I remember things like this? Come on.
Well,
no.
Only I obsessively think about my Star Trek games, I guess.
All right, so I'm judge next.
Dave. Yeah.
All right. Be it resolved. Badgie from Lower Decks is a good character. And Brie, you're going to vote, argue for. Adam, you're going to vote against or argue against, I suppose. Not voting. It's not democracy. Go.
All right. Slight disadvantage. Have not seen the most recent episode, so I will put that out there. However, every time that we've seen Badgie, it has been a dramatic and also hilarious episode of Lower Decks. I don't think that there's been an episode of Badgie that has happened that people haven't talked about in a positive light. I mean, the most recent one outside of this one, we have just a guest star, a beloved guest star voicing Jeffrey Combs. And of course, that episode was beloved. And Badgie makes a slight appearance. But again, sorry, can't talk on the newest episode.
Yeah, well, okay, the newest episode aside.
Yes.
Adam, to you.
I'm saving them up till I can finish the series. I haven't watched one Lower Decks this year, so I can't speak on this. Yeah,
same boat.
I'm
Have you not seen any Lower Decks?
Yeah, I have, but I can't talk to it. Sorry. Sorry, Davan. This one's not working for me.
Okay. Well, then I guess Brie wins.
Mm-hmm.
There's. I was looking. I guess Badgie is a good character.
Good
Not my
villain.
favorite.
Not your
Not
favorite.
my favorite.
Yeah.
Hey, Bree's off to
I threw you a softball here, Adam. You know, all you had to do is
watch Lower Decks.
watch
All I have to do is watch Lower Decks.
Yeah. Come on, Adam. Like,
Thanks, Sam. Sam,
Sam watches Chuck Culture all
Awesome.
the time, Bree.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Yes.
All right. So, Bree's first one here.
All right. Am I good?
Hmm?
All right. Be it resolved. Swearing in Star Trek is fine. Dave will put you for, Adam against.
of course, swearing in Star Trek is fine. Double MS on you and everything on top. Like it's the colorful metaphors that make it fun. And I do really enjoy when the different characters. I remember when Tilly said, "This is so fucking cool," and like, you know, and Stamets just goes, "You're right, it is so fucking cool." So that was a good moment, and I stand by it. I do have my friend Kevin who always gets upset with the swearing in Star Trek, but I don't really get it. Kevin, loosen up.
I'm with Kevin on this one. I don't think that Star Trek needs to go to that, and I almost say level. You know, when you have it you know, when you think of all the great series up until I guess Discovery is when we first saw the swearing. Even the movies didn't see the swearing. Double dumbass on you is not to me a swear word from Voyage Home. I think that was right.
It's Voyage Home, yeah.
yeah.
But it's the 80s.
True, but I think there's an element to Star Trek, a level of Star Trek that it hits without having to go to that next level. I mean, I don't, you know, we don't. I mean, very few times we actually, even now, swear in the workplace, you know, in front of each other.
Time.
Open?
I forgot to hit your timer, but that's the time. Yeah, open.
If it's gratuitous, I might be inclined to agree, but I don't think that Star Trek ever goes off the deep end with the swearing. They use it very sparingly. I think they use it to punch a certain line or a certain thing, just like most writers do. I you know, if we had the Quentin Tarantino Star Trek movie we never got, that would have been interesting to see how much more swearing we would have.
That would have had it. But I gotta say is that the J.J. Abrams movies didn't have it in it, and I think that those really were stood up. They didn't swear in those movies. You know.
This one's rough because I think it is normally like a situational thing, but I'll give it to Dave because I guess if we're looking at a whole, I can see that. But I would advocate that if it's obviously like don't put it in like Prodigy. I think that would be an obscenely poor decision, you know, like. And then of course Lower Decks, it's almost a given. So I do sit on that, but I'll give it to you for that one.
Thank you.
I can see overall. Yeah.
I definitely don't want to go off the deep end with it.
Right, exactly. I think kind of what you said made sense where it's like, as long as it's not gratuitous.
Yeah. Or they're in a time period trying to fit in. It could be funny.
Yeah, you know, and Dave, it's funny you mentioned the Tarantino thing. I mean, I love Tarantino, but I just don't see that working.
Yeah,
we'll never know. But apparently, it was going to be a piece of the action or some version of that. So.
Bree is very nice, Jody.
I'm nice too.
You.
Dave goes without saying. Dave. We've been together for a long time now.
Well, but we're glad to have you with us tonight, Bree. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, this is Adams.
Yep. Be it resolved. Unich and Riley demonstrated much stronger leadership qualities in the first season of Strange New Worlds than Will Riker did in the first season of Next Generation. Bree for, Dave against.
All right. I would have to agree that, yeah, she does demonstrate a wonderful leadership. I mean, in season 1, I mean, she steps out and saves a fellow crew member. Wait, season 1, correct? She saves a fellow crew member, showing herself to be an Illyrian, not at her own behest. Like, she's willingly throwing herself under the bus to save a fellow officer, knowing it could lose her spot in Starfleet.
I don't know if you can say she demonstrated a much stronger leadership. Like, I would kind of put them sort of on par. I think that Riker has some great moments in that first season. He's offered the captain's chair in season 1, and he turns it down, because he knows he's not ready and he wants to be with the best crew possible. So that was a form of leadership. He wasn't just looking for power and for glory. He was looking to have the right career for himself. And he didn't have to lie on his Starfleet application either.
Ooh.
Okay, street draw.
Well, I will say that if we're looking at strictly like leadership skills, then I would have to agree that she does demonstrate a more strict, by the book. You have to have like your community. It cannot be your subordinates, and Riker does a little bit of that mingling. So you could say healthy degree, but when it comes to pure leadership, a true leader can't intermingle like that, and she does put that hard barrier up of I am in a leadership position to you, but I still care.
I don't know. Like, I think she's a little too close to La'an. I think she's her relationship with Pike, I think, is good, but it's like to compare it to Riker in the first season of TNG when he's just getting to know Picard isn't quite a comparison either. He's a much younger first officer than she is at that point. In the respective stories, I think that Riker goes on to be one of the great heroes of the Federation. He saves, us from the Borg, and I think that he's like, I don't know if he's inferior in his leadership abilities to Una Chin Riley.
I'm going to give this one to Dave because Dave, actually, I was going the other way until you brought up the point where he declined the captain's chair. I think that actually showed great leadership and ability to learn and to move on. So I really liked that first season. So there you go.
Thank you. Oh, well, Jody still loves me. That's good. I was worried. Riker all the way. Well, she's a better singer, I think, than him for sure.
But he's got her own trombone.
Yeah, he's got her on the trombone. Play Nightbird. Okay, so now to me, I believe I will be judging this next one. Be it resolved. Starfleet is not a military organization. And this, in favor of this, will be Brie. Against will be Adam.
All right. I'm glad I got 4 because I've argued this for as long as I've known. While you can say it's scientific, you can also say that the things that our military does is scientific. I mean, we've got, for instance, when I worked in the military, we did a lot of weather related to our job. That's still science. However, it's tied to a military organization. You can have science in a military organization. In fact, that leads, like that promotes growth in that organization. However, you can't have war as in a scientific organization. Like, you don't see biologists going to war against a group like the Dominion, for instance.
Right.
So I'm not clear what you were arguing there. Is it? Were you saying it is or isn't?
Oh, it's a military organization.
Okay, so I guess Adam, you're on the other side. I kind of intended the opposite here, but it's okay.
Oh,
so,
I'm sorry. I thought you said Brie.
I did. Is for it not being military.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, I got it. Anyway, it's fine.
I misunderstood.
I would agree with that, or I'd not agree with that, because just with what you were saying there, you have all kinds of divisions on there. Yes, you have a command structure, and that has the
keep going,
the knowledge to fight, to go to war, to do that sort of thing. However, their primary is exploration. They say, to explore strange new worlds, right? And that's the credo, right? So we're going with that. Like, I think that early in Enterprise, you learn very quickly you have to have the skills to battle, to fight, but it's not the primary mission. We still want to explore the galaxy.
So because it's exploration journey. Free for all, but I think I need a little bit more about why it is and it isn't a military organization, respectfully.
You know why, Dave? I think it simply is this: is that they do not have. That's not the primary driver. It's not a military organization. Yes, they have the ranks because you need that too, but it doesn't mean that you have that military bent, and because of the exploration part of it and all the sides of it, it just doesn't work.
Okay, any counterpoints, Brie, before?
All I will say, yeah.
Keep going.
Sorry. What I'll say is that, yes, you can still have those ranks and say that it's an organization, like scientific organization, but at the end of the day, those ranks also fill positions that would be filled by the roles of military officers. Like, you can have someone be the rank of lieutenant, but they're a lieutenant in security, or they're a lieutenant who's science officer. Like, this science is a division, but there's also security.
But when you compare to the Klingons, for instance, there's no way that you can compare Starfleet to the Klingon Empire. Or, I mean, that's a military, clearly a military force, because, and that's their primary thing, like to die in battle, to be glorified in a fight. While Starfleet, I think they avoid all costs, and this is not the primary role of them at all. I mean, they say it right there: explain, strange, explore. Exploration is their main credo.
Yeah. I feel like I'm still on the fence on this debate, but in the interest of time, I'm going to have to go with one of you. So I don't think, Adam, you've done enough to prove it's not a military organization. You keep saying it's not their primary role, but you keep saying it is a role of their organization. So therefore, they are at least a part-time military organization. And so there, and I always come back to, like, are they really like NASA? Because NASA is supposed to be a civilian organization, right, in the United States, but they have soldiers who they recruit as pilots and astronauts and whatever. So it's decidedly not. And Starfleet, I think, in Star Trek, tries to pretend more like it's NASA, but when they have to fight Klingons, then they're all of a sudden, or Jem'Hadar, they're all of a sudden very structured. So I'm going with Brie on this, but it's could have gone either way.
Sorry, when you said arguing for, I heard for as in supporting. That's my bad.
We're good.
That's okay. Yeah, it's because it's the be it resolved, right? So we're saying that that's the statement, and so if I say for, right, you're going for it.
Mm-hmm. All right, be it resolved. The Inner Light doesn't deserve to be in everyone's top 10.
Just first of TNG or of all Star Trek?
We'll go with TNG because it's always in everyone's top 10 TNG list. I've not seen a list that it does not grace the top 10 of.
You haven't seen mine.
We'll go for Dave and against Adam.
Okay, like, listen, like, this episode is fine, but it's not like a top 10 episode. Like, the best of both worlds right there, that's 2 of them, right off the bat. You only got 8 left, and there's 179 episodes of Star Trek The Next Generation. There are plenty of episodes that I would put above The Inner Light. It's maybe a top 50 episode, but it's not a top 10.
So, Brie, this is actually one of my top 10. I love this episode. And I will go back to it and watch it time and time again and enjoy it just as much as the last time. I think that the story was unique, very different to what we'd seen before in any Star Trek up until that point. And I love the idea that a culture embeds itself into somebody else just to perpetuate itself decades or hundreds of years after it vanished. Loved it. Great story.
It's a story of victimization. Picard was against his will given all these memory engrams and given a whole life he never wanted and asked for. And
no, that's not true at all. He embraced it when he came back. You remember, learning that flute, taking that back to him with, like, the fact that he was able to take on a culture, and then, I mean, he's an explorer. Again, he's an explorer at heart, and he would have loved to tell that story. And even the archaeology part of him.
No, how do we know what his decisions were and what were not? Like, it seems like he seems to know who he is, but by the, he's fully embraced this culture, and he's he doesn't even remember his own life anymore. I think that this was a
but when he came back to the Enterprise, he sure did. He remembered it all. and he knew his own role. You know, he knows the captain. He just has a story to tell now about a culture that's non-existent anymore. I think that's fantastic.
There's like The Measure of a Man. That's 2 episodes. That's one right there. You got like All Good Things, the finale. That's 2 more. Like I can definitely come up with 10 episodes better than The Inner Light in the next generation.
Is Sub Rosa on that list for you?
Sub Rosa is a masterpiece, and it's way too far down the list. You know, in Star Trek Online right now, they're giving away an anaphasic candle because that's how much the fan base loves it.
Candle sales went up worldwide 15% after that episode.
That's true. So. You know, Duncan Regeer, Canada's own Duncan Regeer, playing Ronan. You know, also played Shakar. But this isn't about Sub Rosa. It's about that Inner Light episode. No one remembers.
You know what? All right, fine. Brie, you're up.
I personally don't rank it in my top 10. However, hearing you explain why it's in your top 10, I hadn't even put I know Picard's an archaeologist, but I hadn't thought about how he might view it as more of a, like, he would care a little bit more than another captain in that same position, because he does have that archaeological backbone to him. So I'll say for this one, I'll go Adam. Even though it's not in my top 10, I can now understand why other people would rank it as high as they do.
And it was a unique story.
Yeah, the unique story. I can't think of another time Star Trek did something like that.
Yeah. Sam, I'm on the board.
He's on the board. Sam was also saying A Fistful of Datas is a top 10 episode. I'm not sure.
I like that one. I like the fun ones.
We were talking about that one time, and I was saying I cannot understand the American culture's fascination with the Western, and they keep doing it.
Yeah, they love a Western, and less so in Canada, I think. The bonding.
Be it resolved, Archer giving the order to create the clone named Sim represented the end of his innocence and high ideals and how we should represent Starfleet and humanity.
Who's got which side of this?
Brie for, Dave against.
Okay. I would say that this is probably the first time that we truly see Archer have to make the decision, a decision that is so definitive about a character that they've actually grown to know. I mean, yes, the character wasn't there for as long as, Trip, who he's trying to save, but he grew to know this character and in a way love this character. He was like a father figure. So to have to essentially pull the plug on someone who had a full life ahead of them, that's an innocence you can't get back. And I think it sent him down a darker path.
Okay. Dave?
No, I don't think that was the beginning of his loss of innocence. I think that's maybe more the doctors, more specifically. I think that that Archer goes along with the suggestion because Phlox is pushing for it. I think that his true loss of innocence is actually when he maroons those Illyrians, when he steals their warp coil so that he can keep going with the Xindi mission. And follow through, and you see how much that tears him up, and he's never the same really after that episode.
I would argue that as a counterpoint to that, he at least left them enough supplies that he wasn't killing them outright. He tried his best in that moment to at least give them a fighting chance. He did everything that he could to make it so that he wasn't giving them a death sentence. When he looked at Sim, he knew while raising him and before doing the procedure and as the procedure was about to happen that he was taking an innocent life that didn't even ask for this. Like they're captains, they're exploring, they're a ship out in the world or out in the universe. They are expecting trouble. This is a life brought on only to die, and he had to make that decision.
Dave, anything more?
Well, yeah, he knew that life form was only going to live 17 days. He didn't really want to do it. Phlox really presents him with no other option to save his friend, his chief engineer, who he needs on this essential mission in order to save Earth from a malevolent race. And with the Illyrian thing, I think he leaves them with sort of like, I don't know, like a flashlight and a packet of food or something, but they have to crawl home for the next 2 years. He could have warped back and tried to follow up with them. He could have tried to aid them or try to make it right. He doesn't, and you can see how much he's torn up from that, how his obsession with the Xindi continues even into season 4 when he's saying, saying to Captain Hernandez, you need all the weapons you can get. And more, out there. And he didn't even want to leave Space Dock in season 1 without a phase cannon. So I think that you can see how much that mission with the Zindi really got to him. I know that the mission with the event with Sim is in the same season, but it's much earlier, and it's I don't think that's the real where he loses innocence. He never even talks about it again, but he does talk about it.
Time. Okay, so I'm going to give it to Dave, and the reason I said that is I think it was our innocence that was lost there. I think that for me, and I wrote it thinking the other opposite. I was going to go with Brie, but through today, I was thinking about the fact that I think it was us that was the first time we go, oh, but I think you're right, Dave. He just walked away from it. He wanted to save Trip, and it was worth it.
Yeah, it's not a great moment for him, but it's I don't think that's the true turn.
But the Illyrian thing really shook him. You could see it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. All right. So am I the next judge? All right. Be it resolved. The retcons of the original series we're getting in both Discovery and in Strange New Worlds are necessary, needed for this franchise to survive long term. So how about Brie? You can be for this, and Adam, you will be against.
Okay. The first one that pops in my head that makes me immediately go towards it does need to be done is the pilot episode, The Cage. The first thing we really see Captain Pike do is look over at who would be Unich and Riley and say, why is there a woman on this bridge? And that is one of the most jarring things that happens, even in the original series. That's not something after the pilot you see again. But then you've got Pike in Strange New Worlds, where he's a completely different person. He cares about all of his crew members, including Una, especially Una. And that's a change that absolutely needed to happen.
Okay. Adam.
I think that, when you come back to the first question I asked tonight was about on the doctors and the subservient nurse. I believe that they don't it's not necessary, Dave, to continue into Strange New Worlds and sorry, my time's up already, damn it.
No, it's not. Keep going.
Pardon.
That's the 10-second one. Now it's up.
Yep, thank you.
He's just like, well, I yield my time. All right, free for all.
I think you're right. Go ahead.
Go.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say something else that I would call as an example that people would call a retcon is the displays that we see in Discovery, where people are like, oh, this looks so futuristic for the time. But then at the same time, the people arguing this forget that this is a experimental ship. I mean, we do see other ships like the Enterprise where they keep to canon, but this retcon makes sense because it's experimental.
Adam, any counterpoints?
No counterpoints on this one. Sorry, Dave. I'm agreeing with her on everything.
Well, okay. If I could play devil's advocate, when we watched that the finale of season 1 of Strange New Worlds, and we saw that the bridge of the Romulan ship was shown to look completely different. The uniforms are completely different, and I'm watching this going, is this necessary? Did they need to do this? I agree with not being misogynistic. That's a change that needs to be made. But did the uniforms really need to change? And Adam, you could have. I threw you another softball here, and again, goes to Brie. So, all right.
All right. Be it resolved, the NX-01 Enterprise was the worst or most dangerous ship to serve on. Okay, I'm gonna say that. I feel like you know a lot about Enterprise. I'll give you 4, and I will give. Is it Dave?
Yes, I'm Dave.
Dave against.
I'm against.
So I'm saying that it was the worst. Yeah, that's
it's the most dangerous ship, not worst.
It was the most dangerous ship. Listen, they had no idea what they were getting into at that point. They thought they had it all. If you remember that first episode, Archer's very insulted by the Vulcans saying, you're not ready, your ship's not ready. You guys have no idea what's out there for you. We're ready. They go out, Dave mentioned it earlier this evening here, without phase cannons, without proper weaponry, without proper hull plating or shields, no transporters, like stupid grappler hook that doesn't work. You know, and they just had no concept of how bad it can be and how dangerous it can be in space. And they're too far away from Earth to come back, or any space dock to affect repairs. You know, I think at the end of the third season, we had 80. No, was it 20? There's 80 crew, so over 20 crew died, which is a big part of 25% of the crew died in that first couple seasons.
Well, sure they did, but like, come on, Voyager was losing people left and right, and they're like 200 years later. You know, I don't think that the NX-01 is any more dangerous than Voyager is per se, or the Defiant, or you know, a lot of different like sort of smaller to medium-sized ships. I think it's got a lot going for it. It's small, maneuverable. I think it's got you know, maybe the crew makes it dangerous because I think some of them are just inexperienced, but the ship itself is fine. There's nothing wrong with it. So that would be my sort of counterpoint to all that.
So mine again is that, you know, I think with any prototype ship, and it really is a prototype, is inherently dangerous. You do not know all the things that can possibly go wrong. Even look at the space shuttle, you know, an O-ring that blew up and killed all crew members. You know, that never happened again. They learned. So, you know, with, excuse me, with early models and early facsimiles, you're gonna inherently just be dangerous because you don't know everything that could possibly happen.
Well, yeah, they like I'll give it that they didn't have a phase cannon installed, but you know, like that was because they had to take a Klingon home, and that was kind of ahead of schedule. They weren't planning that. I think that the ship is good. I think that you see that the NX-02 is pretty much the exact same ship with very few modifications, which show that it's a solid design.
But having said that, though, I mean, they've also, you know, they've learned. They've done different things to it.
Little tweaks, but like it's not a complete redesign. You know, like the ship is a good design. It's solid. You know, I can't say anything bad about the NX-01.
Yeah. See, my whole thing is that, you know, there wasn't really with the NX-01, there wasn't really a test run. It didn't have too much space trials. You're right. They went to Klingon homeworld to drop off the Klingon, but then they just kept going. They didn't come back.
Right.
You know, we might have learned some stuff if you tried, you know, different things. Push the engines over warp 5. See what happens. You know, see what happens when you run into some serious radiation. You know, things that could have probably saved some lives along the way.
Well, they didn't need to figure out everything because they'd had freighters going warp 1 and 2 for a better part of 100 years at that point. And they kind of knew a little bit about space travel. It was just about going to further out, getting outside of
this faster than any ship had done.
Outside of this sector. So
way over time.
I'm gonna have to give it to Adam, because as you started explaining like all the ways things can go wrong, I also, my mind went, and even you said we've had freighters out and about, but they haven't run into things, and that was when I was like, yeah, oh, exactly, they hadn't even gotten it. They didn't even know there were things to run into, like the I forget the anomaly that when they would get close to the spheres that would warp the ship.
Oh, the Expanse.
And like, yeah, the Expanse went, I mean, there was like one recorded instance, I think, of people going there, and it was the Vulcans, and they don't really share knowledge. So they kind of did go in blind.
Right. That
Here's
was
another one.
Event Horizon.
Yeah. It's going to happen.
Now he's on F9 Ferrari. Okay. Well,
well, very good show. We have a winner, Brie.
Hey, way to go, Brie.
Brie is the winner.
Thank you.
Good job, Brie. I was cheering for you the whole time.
All the years of teachers and my parents telling me I should just go be a lawyer because I enjoy debating.
Me too.
It's all paid off for this moment, this podcast.
Yeah. Be it resolved. Yeah.
Be it resolved.
We're in the JAG Corps now.
Heck yeah.
I'm pretty sure you guys both picked Brie to be for every single debate.
Yeah, you did. I was like, that's why I
the second time I did it, I go, I just
that's never happened before.
It wasn't
how we normally do things around here.
Yeah, well,
who wants to? I'm too nice to play devil's advocate.
Maybe that's why it just they couldn't do it to you. All right. Well, Dave,
Yes.
you want to give us the rundown of our little federation here?
Oh, sure. How about I'll go big for this. How about this? Did you know that Live Long and Podcast? Well, this channel is part of a united federation of podcasts, which features all kinds of great podcasters podcasting about a whole bunch of different topics, not just Star Trek. We have our Super Mater Brothers podcast, which we talk about a lot of TV shows like Survivor, Big Brother. We also like to do our Merry Mater Marvel Society. Speaking of which, Davan and Andrè have the X-Rated show where they talk about X-Men, the animated series, and X-Men related things. Andrè also interviews people on the Graphic Histories podcast. Very good show. Hold Up Movies with Davan and Andrè every second Wednesday, now in season 2. I was just recently on. Aiming on Track. Tomorrow, watch out for music. He's talking about Dark Side of the Moon. And the Hellbound podcast with Alex and Michael, and Trivial Debates. Another a great show with a host and 3 contestants.
That was a very tight rundown.
You were going with the slides fast. I was like, I got to, so I was got to go. But also look out here on Live Long and Podcast. This Monday, we continue our Star Trek Enterprise rewatch series coming up on In a Mirror Darkly. I'll be talking about that with Adam and Jody and Kevin. I think Jaemeel's coming in for that one. And Star Trek Lower Decks right now, we're also covering. And look out for our different divisions, like the Science Division, the Live Long and Podcast Locutors Division, and whatnot. So anyway, those are our little plugs.
Big Trouble with Trivia coming up on Sunday, Champions Edition.
Is it this Sunday?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Not looking good for you.
Why? Now I know about it, so now it's fine.
Sounds unprepared.
Well, how do you prepare for the trivia? Do I study?
I'm not telling you. All right. Thanks again for joining us, Brie. Good show, Adam. Good show, Dave. You tried. Yeah.
Hey, it's okay. It's second place. I'll take it.
All right. End transmission.
Thanks, everyone.